All right, Coach. So we're back. Let's talk about what teams stood out to you. Obviously, didn't make the playoffs, but whether 4A, 3A, 5A, 6A, what teams did you, if any at all, just kind of look at and say, "Hey, I like what this team is doing." Um, are you learning from any of the head coaches in the area? Have you built relationships with any of these, coaches around here? And if so, how did that happen?
Yeah, so when I'm playing, or when my team is playing, I'm really focused in on what our guys are doing. I'm learning, what teams I like and what high school teams maybe I have time to go watch. And I do a lot of that stuff right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said before, I watch Highland Park. I watch some of what North Crowley was doing. Longview is one of my favorites to kind of watch and just kind of see what they do. But really, when I'm studying, I've got I've got film and footage of things of colleges and professional games that span back 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so whether it's RPO or whether it's motion or unbalanced set, I have a wealth of stuff that I go back and I watch and try to pick up and learn from that. Believe you, I don't really watch a lot of the games that are going on the Saturdays.
Okay.
Most of the time, I'm watching those games. I'm probably maybe a year behind.
Okay.
And so I may watch Oklahoma State play game because I went to school there and I'm a fan.
Yeah.
It's a difference when I'm, kind of watching it for the enjoyment of it, and then when I'm kind of in my study mode.
Mm-hmm.
But I watch a ton of film, and most of it is college. Just watching and trying to understand the whys.
Right.
And see if that's something that I can implement into what we want to do offensively and defensively. That's as simple as we can make it, and that our kids can understand and have success doing. And so I watch it a little different. I typically don't sit around guys and hear them talk football. Not that that I don't really care if they know anything or not, but I don't talk a whole lot of ball and a lot of guys. It's just
Okay.
I'm watching it. I'm a visual learner, so I'm, picking up on things, and I like to maybe sit back and be in a situation where I can stop it, rewind it,
Okay.
rewind it, and just keep looking at it. And then over time, I'm like, okay, well, why did he do this motion? Or what's the
Okay.
point of this? Asking those questions, and then from there, look at what we do as an offense and defense and as a team, and say, okay, where can I be better? Where can I possibly use this to help my team be more successful, or help some of my kids be more successful? And that's kind of how I go about it. Everybody's a little different, and I like that. But at the clinics that I go to, I'd like to hear the coaches talk just to kind of see where their mind is. It's not necessarily always what they're doing, but it's their offense or defense is so much more a part of who they are and kind of what some of the things that they believe in. And I'll give you a perfect example. The more innovative coaches, have a lot of little nuances and ticks that they do that's a little bit more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of see that into them. Whereas some of your older guys who've been around a while and are just old school, man, they only really got like a couple of variations,
Yeah.
but they pound those variations home to the point to where, you can't mess it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True.
Like, it's so simple, but yet so effective. There's absolutely nothing you can do if you do it right to stop it.
Right.
And that I have an admiration for that, because I know how important that is. And some of the guys who've been around for so long, that's how they win. Where you got the new wave of guys in that's got the newest and shiniest,
Right.
New playbook or the things that they do, and everybody throwing the ball all around, and you're like, oh man, this guy's freaking got figured out, And then it's so many different personalities of coaching. And so many different teams here in the state of Texas that the clinics are by far the best way to kind of get to meet people, talk to people, and just, when they get up there and talk here, what makes them different, what makes them different, what makes them successful, and so that's been a joy for me to kind of be in that room with those guys.
Okay. Last week, signing day for a good group of young men who will go on to play collegiately. And I know you know who everyone is, drummer, Mr. Hood, Jeremiah Taylor, the Sewin twins, man, and who all had phenomenal years last year.
Yeah.
How important, despite not making the playoffs regardless what the record is, how important is it to continue to push these guys' success? Because everyone is not playing football after high school.
Right.
But that opportunity, which is, I don't know what the percentages are, but I know it's small. The opportunity to do so and further your education is something that most, student athletes won't experience. But how important is that to you, just not just here at Tyler High, but at Enid and some of the other programs that you've been, seeing those kids be able to further their education, to make the most of their abilities?
It's extremely important for me. I had an opportunity because my coach pushed for me to have a chance to go play, man. And so it's one of the most important things I do in my job. We went to the AFCA just to go down there and get prospect list out to colleges on the East Coast that don't recruit all the way to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they go down, they're down about the Florida area, which are some very good players, and they don't even recruit Texas. We gave our prospect list and contact information out to all the small schools all the way to the coast. And just so that, we'll give our guys every opportunity to be recruited everywhere. And I don't know why, maybe I caught so much heat in regards to the recruiting aspect of it here, but I've had hundreds of guys go on and play at the college level.
Mm-hmm.
There was a span when I was at John Marshall where I had the number one player in the state for 2 years in a row.
Okay.
And countless Division I football players, and worked extremely hard to help those guys, go on to the next level. Here is unique in that definitely was accused of maybe, not doing anything to help the kids, go to school. I couldn't, it was actually a shocker to me, especially when we just started. I mean, it was unique. The first year, we had 9 out of 14 kids get scholarships, which is big time.
Yeah,
I don't
for
know
sure.
if anybody even mentioned after it was all said and done. I don't know if anybody even said, you know what, we gave this guy a lot of heat about scholarships. Maybe we need to take a step back and look. 9 out of 14 actually is pretty good.
Yeah.
This year we had 6 out of the 16 kids or 17 kids that we had go.
Okay.
And that's a good number. Anytime you got any, it's it's a good number. But when you have 6, those guys are it's really good. We do everything that we can to help them. A lot of times colleges come in and we tell guys all this all the time, and maybe it's the transparency of the conversation. But Power 4 coaches will come in, and here's the reality, man. If you're offensive lineman, just to use an offensive lineman as an example, they're not recruiting that year's class. Okay, they're not. So if we got the 25s right now, if a coach comes in here right now, he's looking for the 27s.
Right.
So the sophomores, it's going to be juniors or the freshmen. And if they're not already 6'4", 6'5", we're just talking offensive lineman, then 300 pounds or 280, coach, you're not on the board, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I say to those guys. Okay. Now, if you're 6 foot, you're a very good player and you're 6'1", 6'2", then hey, you're going to be a D2, you're going to be a D3 based on just your measurables. Okay. And so those guys' timeline is a little bit different. So if a coach come in here right now, they'll want the 26s, or maybe they're still looking for 25s. And so a lot of the smaller schools will come in right when they're finishing up their senior year or we're going into their senior year, and they'll offer some guys then. If those guys are really, really good players, they're just not, they don't have the measurables of a Power 4 school. You will, if you're an offensive lineman, just use the offensive lineman, and you're not 6'5" or higher, they're not recruiting you. It doesn't matter how good you are. Okay. Now you'll get an opportunity through the transfer portal. Say you're 6'3", you're on the fringe, and you go have a big time year.
Right.
And you become all conference at throw a team out like Emporia. You're all conference left guard. Then that's when you'll have an opportunity to transfer up and go play. That's how the game goes now.
Yeah.
Colleges at one point had 25 scholarships. 23 of them, 22 of them went to high school kids. Now, if you get 10 guys signed, then that you're doing something.
Yeah.
If they're looking at high school kids, if they sign 10. Most colleges don't do that. They might sign 5 kids.
And the rest is probably for the portal.
All the rest of them are for portal.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the countless guys in the portal that don't land anywhere, they're trying to figure out how to fix that. And so now the D2 is the new D1.
Mm-hmm.
The D2, the D3s, NIH, you go there, you play well, and you have an opportunity to play up.
Okay.
And you get that one transfer until you get the graduation transfer.
Mm.
And that's how it is. And so I have to tell that people that because it's my responsibility to tell them. I don't like to have to tell people things that they don't necessarily want to hear. But that's what I'm
It's a harsh
supposed to do.
reality.
It's the harsh reality of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that their kid can't play.
Mm-hmm.
And not that we're not doing everything we can to push your kid to be the very best he can be. When they come in, we still want our guys to introduce themselves. If we really feel strongly about a kid being able to play at that level, we'll make sure that, we say something. But it's kind of one of those deals where, the coaches will take a look. It doesn't matter what we say if they don't have those measurables. But then let's just say Lamar comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And we have those guys, then we're pushing those guys that we know can play for those guys to the forefront, and they know that, and they'll have a list before they get there of the guys that they already have circled, and then we'll make sure that we communicate with them
for sure
that they also need to look at this guy and this
Okay.
guy, because this guy can do this. Here, let's turn on the film so you can see this, and Coach Wren and myself do everything that we can to put him in a position to be successful here.
Right.
And so that's why we had 6 this year. So we had 9 the year before. And the next year we'll have more.
Right. Continue to grow on
there
that.
You go. Like a great example is a guy that I'm very high on is Davion Searles. Davion Searles is an extremely important part of this program.
Yeah. You ain't gonna outwork him either, man.
No, you're not gonna outwork him. He's a guy that's a go-to guy for us.
Yeah.
And he's a leader.
Mm-hmm.
May not have the measurables to go play at that level.
Yeah.
And that's I hate that for him. But all I can do is come up to him and tell him to keep working.
Yeah.
Because I know his opportunity is going to come because he's good enough to play at the next level. Now, it won't be power forward because of things that are out of our control, out of his control. But that does not mean that, I tell guys not to be upset about the guys who do have the measurables, okay? And don't be down on yourself because, man, they're inspiring guys that are going to be just like them one day.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy that's not very tall right now, that's in Bolton right now, that, looking at Searles and says, I want to be, if he can do it, then I can do it.
Yeah, he's influencing somebody.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And so, for me, this is high school, man. If he's going to be that kind of guy for us, then I don't care about measurables.
Yeah.
My job is to find a way to put him in a position to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's how I'm going to be evaluated. Right. And, some people obviously just evaluate me on wins and losses. Some people just evaluate me negatively just because maybe they don't, like me as a human being. But the reality of it is that whether I have all the talent in the world or I don't, I've been in both situations. And the one thing that will always be constant is that we're going to do things discipline-wise over time that will continue to get better. And that's the goal for most coaching staffs, but for me in particular, we want to execute at a high level, be respectful, out on the field, have a product out there that Tyler Hawk can be proud of, and teach these guys to be young men, not saying the right things, doing the right things on social media, and constantly talking about those things, just being good men, so that 10 years down the road, I'll be just as excited to see them as they are to see me because they're successful. I'm happy that they're successful.
Yeah.
And
when they succeed, you succeed.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's you said it right there. So this the most important thing because their success is a clear indicator that as a coaching staff we're doing what we're supposed to do.